All right, today we are going to be making a 2-inch crevice snuffer. So it's going to be quick and dirty. I'm not going to have any fancy bells or whistles. There's a lot of instructions online on how to do this. I've watched quite a few videos. I am implementing a few things that I think will make it a little bit better, but for the most part, this is going to be bare bones. No add-ons, no anything. So if you're looking for something simple and cheap to make, this is pretty much it. Okay, first things first. I have a pre-cut 2 foot 3/4 piece of PVC here, which I'm going to be using for the plunger. So I'm going to be using, as I said earlier, 2-inch for the outside, for the main shaft here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this at 2 feet also, and the reason is I want this plunger to be sticking out a few inches on the top, so this will allow that and not have to use any extra material. So unfortunately, I don't know where my PVC cutter is, so we're going to have to be doing this with a saw. Okay, I know I said 24 inches on this 2-inch, but I actually meant 22. Reason is you're going to be having these little caps on the end, so you really don't need the whole 2 feet there. Which is good, because my first cut was very ugly. Maybe I can make a better cut this time around. Probably should have brought out a vise to hold this. We'll see how it goes. Okay, now don't worry about these ends being too pretty. Aside from removing these burrs with a knife, these caps are going to go on here, so it doesn't really matter if they're perfectly straight. Okay, for the sucker end, I'm going to go ahead and glue that in. It's going to be seeing a lot of pressure when you squirt everything out back into the bucket, but the plunger side I'm going to leave it open, unglued, so that you can take it apart for maintenance. I'm going to be using this red hot blue glue. It's kind of funky stuff. I imagine you can use just about anything, super glue, silicone, whatever you got laying around. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Oh yeah, it's always fun trying to open this stuff. Jeez. Wow, that was totally unnecessary. Okay, so you don't need a whole lot of glue. Like I said, it's not going to go anywhere. You're not running a high pressure water through it. So I'm just going to give it a real light coating, just around the edge. Just enough to hold it in place. And then the same thing with this cap. Just going to give it a real light coat. And there you have it. Oh. All right, time to cut the end here for the snuffer. Okay, you can go with whatever length you want. I decided to go with a foot. That seems like a good way. A good length for me. Again, this is the first time I've built one of these, so second time around I might do it differently. Whoa, that didn't work. Shaky hands today. Okay, now some people will put a 45-degree angle on here. I'm not sure if I want to do that just yet. I'll have to think about it. again, we're going to go ahead and glue that in. All right, we're getting somewhere. Yeah, messy glue. Gotta love this stuff. Okay, before I forget, the end caps that I use for the snuffer side is just a 2-inch coupler and a 2-inch to 3/4 reducer. I'm gonna use the same thing on the plunger side, except there is a lip in here that I'm gonna have to remove so that the plunger will slide all the way through. This is one upgrade that I have over a lot of the instructions I found online. A lot of the instructions online, they were using a 2-inch version of one of these and just drilling a hole in it. The thing I didn't like about that is it didn't add a lot of stability to the plunger, especially when you got near the top. It will get really wobbly, just kind of flop around a lot. This will give it roughly 1 inch, 1 1/4 inch of guide, which will help a lot, I think. We'll find out when we get it put together. Okay, for the plunger here, this is going to be a multiple stage setup. There's a lot of little pieces that have to go together. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the handle together. So you got your PVC here, and let me turn the camera down a little bit. You're going to piece the handle together with a 3/4 inch T and just 2 3/4 inch plugs. It should be nice and simple. I am going to glue these together with just a little bit of glue. There's no reason to ever have to take them apart again. So this will keep me from having to lose pieces in the river. Probably shouldn't have had so much coffee this morning. Pretty shaky. Oops. That one doesn't want to go all the way in. I have to get a hammer. Yeah, interesting. Guess that one's not going any further. Okay. Last but not least, put the T on here. And you have yourself a nice little handle. Obviously you can stub it out and make it longer on the ends. I think this is fine. Less weight that way also. And when you have to carry this thing a few miles, you'll be happy even with a few ounces lighter. Okay, now for the plunger here, there are a number of different materials that you can use. I just happen to have some of this high density polyurethane from a previous project, which is basically cutting board. I'm going to go ahead and give this a try. It's a little bit thinner than I wanted to deal with, but I think it'll work good. Anything you use, just make sure it will hold up to water, and you should be okay. Preferably some kind of plastic. I think this is like a 3/8 inch thick or so, somewhere in that ballpark. Anywho, let's see if I can do this without hurting myself. Of course not. Not quite tall enough. Okay, that took a good minute. If you cannot improvise, compromise. Or I guess that might be the other way around, I don't know. Let's try this again. Alright, we'll try again. Oh man, if you want a good drill press, don't buy a Harbor Freight one. Alright. Oh, give me a break. Jeez. So close. The problem we're having here is the plastic is melting and binding up. There we go. Boy, hope that was as much fun for you as it was for me. Okay, so I got a little bit of deburring here to do. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but that was a 2" and 1/8 hole saw. And it seems to have worked really good, as you can see here. I think that'll work pretty sweet. We'll find out when we get it together. Alright, I picked up this bag here for about $10 from Hobby Lobby. It has a bunch of scrap leather in it. Seems like it'll be a good thickness. I'm really hoping so. It is hard to find leather scrap around here. Oh yeah, this is what we got. So, I was thinking that this brown stuff might be a good way to go, but this stuff is quite a bit thicker. Yeah, we're gonna give that stuff a shot. Okay. I was told to take your PVC, put it right here, give it a nice little push, and you should be able to see where it was sitting. I don't like that idea. I'm going to actually draw it out. Okay, so I got this little scrap piece. We're just going to use that. You're going to need 2 of these. Keep that in mind. Well, actually, you might end up having to make more than 2 depending on how they fit. So now we're going to get some scissors and cut this. Okay, I'm not entirely sure how snug this needs to be. I know the reason that we use leather is to because the leather swells up when it gets wet. So my first thought is just even with the inside of the pipe. So we're going to give that a shot. If it doesn't work, we'll cut a few more out. Probably better to have them a little snug at first. Here, let's do this. A little bit easier to cut that way. Okay. Alright, if you have a leather punch, this is the time where you want to break it out. I do not have one, and quite honestly, I think these are probably not going to be big enough. But I'm going to go ahead and put this as centered as I can get it, and then try to hold it down and run a drill bit through it. Hopefully that works. Like I said, I think I'm going to have to recut these. Yeah, that seemed to work out pretty good. Cool. Okay, for this part, I realized that it would be a good idea to have the actual plunger, which would be these guys here, glued on. And the only way that I can do that, that I could come up with while allowing me to take it apart and maintain it later, was to get a slip cap on one end, threaded on the other, glue the slip onto the plunger side, thread this in, and bolt the plunger to it. That'll allow me to take it apart later. I can just literally unscrew this, take everything apart. Oh, no. Jumping the gun here. Gotta put another piece on first. Okay, I forgot we had to open this piece up here for the end, for the plunger, so we have to do that really fast. This is a 1-inch drill bit. I'm hoping it's going to be big enough. Find out real quick. Moment of triumph. Nope, not quite big enough. So gonna have to probably open it up by hand a little bit. Alright, nobody's ever accused me of being safe here, so we're gonna give this a try. Okay, that took a good minute, but there you go. So, I am going to glue this piece into this piece, but I am not going to glue this piece to the main shaft because I want to be able to take it apart. The reason I'm gluing the top one to it is this fits relatively loose inside of here. However, this fits real tight on the main shaft. So, I'll throw a little bit of glue on these guys and hope for the best. Yep. All right. So there we go. This guy. Is going to go happily on here. I'll show you the whole thing here in a few minutes. Okay, there's what we've got so far. And as you can see, that 24-inch length here with 22-inch there works out pretty good. We've got a little bit of room for a plunger, and if you wanted to make a mod where you put a T here and some check valves and pump into a bucket, you've got plenty of room. You don't have to cut the plunger shorter. So yeah. Okay, now we can glue this guy on. So that's going to go again on the end of this guy. Don't need a whole lot of glue. It's probably way more than I needed. Yeah. Okay. Now, you're going to need the piece that screws into here, which is going to hold the rest of the plunger. Sorry, I got glue on everything here. Wow. Okay. So, we're going to put a 1/4-inch hole in this guy so we can bolt everything up. Get in there. Well, I'm just not having any luck with this press today. Jeez. Alright. Pretty hole. Jeez. 1/4-inch bolt, 20 thread, 1.25 inches long, I believe, and a 1/4-inch 20 thread nylon lock nut. You don't want everything coming loose on you. I also have these 1.5 inch flange washers which are going to hold the rubber into place. So, your washer, leather. Oh, that's snug. Wow. Seriously? We're going to have to open that one up again. Snug fit, that is for sure. Okay, there we go. And this guy. Wow. A little bit too snug. Jeez. All right. Wow. Didn't anticipate that. So there you go. Nice and sandwiched together. Like I said, I'm pretty sure we're going to have to replace this leather with something a little bit bigger. But we'll find out here real shortly. Difficult to do while you're trying to keep it on camera. There we go. There you go. One plunger threads into this guy. And hopefully it works. That's going to go right in here. And you have yourself a snuffer. Okay, I wound up redoing these, the leather for the plunger here. I made them a little bit larger. I don't know if you can tell, they're actually hanging over now. Don't know if they're going to work. They might actually be too tight, but I'm going to go ahead and soak them in some water for a few minutes and then we'll see how it goes. All right, moment of triumph here. Let's see if it works. It is definitely snug. I would call that a success. I put some dirt in the bottom here just so I could see if it was sucking up the dirt or not. And as you can see, I got all of it. So yeah, if you have any questions, throw them down at the bottom and I'll see what I can do to help you out.